Hey splashers, welcome back to the channel Splash of Prudencia, and if this is your first time here, thanks for stopping by. My name is Prudence. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys how I made this kimono jacket and how I made this palazzo pants with the stylish elastic waistband. So if this is what you're interested in, let's dive in. So we'll be making use of this Ankara fabric. So this particular one is in 6 yards. I'll be using it for both the trouser and the top. So we are going to fold this in 4 and we are going to be starting with the top. Okay, so I'm rolling out my start line for the top, and then my shoulder measurement, I'm just going to divide it by 2 and add ½ inch for sewing allowance. So after doing that, you're going to place your tape from the start line there and go down by about 9 inches. Take note, you don't have to divide your bust measurement by 6 and then add 1.5 because this is a big one. So you're still going to mark whatever you have at your shoulder point at that point and then connect the lines. This is so that we can be able to create our armhole. So after rolling it, we are going to fix in our actual bust measurement. So we are going to fix it in on that point and then mark it. So you can add any amount of allowance, but for this top it's advisable to add at least 1.5. okay, so the lowest you should add is 1.5. So we are going to connect these lines together and then use our curve ruler to connect them together. You can as well use your free hand to achieve this. So you can see this. So the armhole has to be big because it's a big top. So you go down by 1 inch and then connect it to your shoulder line. So whatever you have as your length, you're going to add 2 or 2.5 inches for folding allowance. So I've already done that and I'm cutting it out. I'll just separate the side there and then cut this out. So after that, you're going to separate this piece. Remember, yeah, it is folded like in 4, right? So you're going to separate this. You separate the front from the back because the neck is different. So go in by 3 and go down by 1.5. okay, connect this with, so cutting this out, this is for the back part. For the front part is going to be deeper. So from your shoulder, you can go down by about 8 inches and then connect using a slant. Okay, this is going to look like a V neckline. I've flipped it to the other part. So we are going to go in by 1.5 from the top to the bottom and connect these lines together. This is because you are going to be putting like a band all through the front to the back neckline. So we are going to connect this and then cut it out. So the band we are putting there is going to like replace what we've lost. So this is what we have after cutting it out. So by the time we are sewing, we are going to be having something like this. So the middle here is going to be filled. So I have folded this in 4 for the sleeve. So I'm marking my sleeve length and I've added 2.5 inches. So I'm marking it all through and then connecting. So my round sleeve also, I'm fixing it in. It's same at the top to the bottom. So I'm just going to make a slant. There's no particular measurement. Just make a curve like that of a sleeve. So we are going to be bringing the pieces together and joining the shoulder of the back and the front. Join using ½ inch. Bring the hand and go in by 1.5. Make a notch. That's what we'll be using in folding it. So since this edge is secured, there's no need to like fold it in. So you just run a straight line all through. So this is what we'll have after joining the shoulders, and this is what we'll have after folding the 2 sleeves. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to like fix the sleeve. So fold it in 2 and then measure what you have at the sleeve cap and make sure it is same with what you have in the armhole. If it's not the same, you can increase it. Okay, whichever one is smaller, just increase. For me, the main bodice is smaller, so I'm increasing it and taking fresh measurement to see that it corresponds. So this is what we'll have after increasing it. So I'll open it up and then start from the middle to attach the sleeve. I've already notched the middle of the main sleeve, so you start sewing from the middle and you do that for the other part too. So this is what we have after attaching it from the middle using ½ inch. I've gone ahead to attach both sleeves. Okay, so the next thing, we'll bring them together. So folding it together, we're going to measure all round from the middle part all through the neckline. So we are just going to like put the two shoulders together and notch the back neckline for us to know the middle. After doing that, we'll start from the hem of the top and measure through till we get to the middle of that neckline. We measure that will be like half of it, and we can like make it times two. So we have 43.5 there. So I already have this band I folded in. I folded it to be about 2.5 inches. Remember, the other one was 1.5 that was subtracted from the middle. So by the time we are done sewing it and all that, we'll be having 2 inches. Okay, so this is how we are going to be placing it on the neckline. So you can see the middle have a join in here because I couldn't get that 43.5 times 2 at a stretch, so you can make the joint to be in the middle. So you are going to place it on that middle part of the back neckline and start from one part to sew first, just the way you did the sleeve. You start from the middle, sew one part to the end. As you're sewing, you keep adjusting, and then this is what we'll have when we finish sewing. Okay, so when you do that for one side, do it for the other side. So this is what we'll have for the front part. Okay, you can see how they are joined together. So if you want this to overlap, you are going to just cut out half an inch from the middle instead of that 1.5 we did earlier on. So this is the half inch we used to sew inside. So the next thing we are going to do is to like fold the hem of each part, okay, before joining the side. So this is what we'll have. I used 2 inches to fold the hem because that was what I left as the allowance. So you're going to join the sleeve together and sew using the allowance you left. If you left 1 inch, you sew using 1 inch. I left 1.5, so I'll start from the sleeve there and join the side to the down. Okay, so you can see what we have joining from the sleeve to the down. So this is just like a straight sewing. So why we folded the hem first is for us to be able to make this side to be proper. Okay, you can see I already fold in by half an inch. We'll be attaching a rope in the two sides so as to drag it and give it that ruffle effect. Okay, so I folded it with half an inch up to 14 inches upward, and here are the ropes I have. So I'll just make sure the rope is long enough to get past that 14 inches where I started folding in from, and I'll make sure it's smaller than what I have. So the width is less than half an inch. So I'll start sewing straight down on both sides, okay, making sure I don't match the rope inside. I'll do that for the other part too. I folded in using half an inch with my iron so that it won't have stress. So after sewing it like that, this is what we'll have. You can see the rope. So you need 4 rope for a particular top, 2 for one side, 2 for the other part. You can see the part where I started the joining from, that it is very neat. Okay, that's why it's good to like iron the fold in so that you get it right. So if you want to ruffle it in, this is what we'll have. Okay, you can as well knot it, and you can decide to leave it like that. So which means you have to make your rope long enough for it to be visible. So the next thing we're going to go to is the trouser cutting. So I'm also going to be using this fabric for the trouser. So we are going to be cutting the front part first. Divide your hip by 4 and mark whatever you have all through this, and then connect using a straight ruler. Still using that your hip measurement divided by 4, we are going to mark it on that hip line there, and also at the top of the fabric we are going to mark it and then connect it using a straight line. So I'm going to curve this out because the seat tie I have is already okay. That is also the lap is already okay for me, and it's going to be the same from the top to the down. So whatever you have as your lap measurement should be the same at the top and the down, because this is like a palazzo trouser. So I subtracted 1 inch and measured my exact length of the trouser, because the band we are going to be adding is high enough to create the one we are going to be folding at the hem, because I'm not folding much. Okay, so I'm going to separate the sides. So this is the front part. You know, in trousers it is also, the back is always longer and wider. So you can see that I left 1 inch for the length and some good amount of inches at the side to make it longer and wider. So at that flap area for the back, we're going to go upwards by 1 inch and then slant it to the end of the waistline. Okay, this is to accommodate your hips, that's your boots. And then I'm just trying to outline this properly. I subtracted half an inch from the front part to avoid gaping at the stomach area, and I'm tracing this out for you to see because this fabric tends to like make the chalk not to show properly. So at the end of the flap area there, I'm coming out by 2.5 inches and connecting using a straight line. Do you get it? You are going to measure 2.5 at the flap area there. That's the addition we'll make for the back, and other areas from the knee downwards you're adding 2 inches. Okay, this should be enough for your sewing allowance because we are sewing everything using half an inch. So you just connect to the down and then cut it out. This is quite simple. If you don't understand it, you can check my channel. I have countless numbers of videos on how to make trousers, palazzos, and so on. So from the up there, I marked 2.5 and then connected it to the curve there. So this is what we'll have, as you can see, for the trouser. So the next thing we are going to cut is the pocket. So I'm cutting the two pockets at a time. The length should be about 12 to 14 inches max, and then the width should be 6 inches. So you're going to connect this and then curve it out, and that's all for the trouser. Okay, so you can go as well to rewind this video if you don't understand. So I'm marking 7.5 to notch for my pocket opening, and I'll be sewing the rest. So this is the back part of the trouser and this is the front part. Each of them are two pieces. So you're joining the back part together using half an inch and the front using half an inch. So we've done that. Opening it up, this is what we'll have. As you can see, this looks big. You can see the difference between the front and the back, right? Pretty much, but the elastic waistband is going to solve that. So place the two sides together. Measure what you have in the pocket opening. Here we have 7.5. So you are going to go to the main fabric, mark 7 inches. Okay, you are going to leave half an inch. So later I discovered there's no point notching it. Once you've sewn, it's okay. So you are going to do that for the other part too. You are going to mark 7 inches. Okay, remember the main trouser, the main pocket is 7.5, but in this trouser you're going to mark 7 inches so that you have a firm sewing. We are going to sew using half an inch from that 7 inches to the down. We are going to do that on both sides. Okay, so we've done that, and this is what we'll have. This is the opening we have for the pocket. You can see it. So the next thing we are going to do is to like join the flap area together, and to do that we are going to like place the two lines together. Make sure the lines are meeting each other, and you start from the middle and sew to the end. Or if you can accurately place this together, you can start from one end to the other. Anyway, it's fine, and you are using half an inch. Okay, so this is what we'll have after sewing it using half an inch. So this is very neat. If you've watched this video up to this point, do well to drop a like and subscribe. So this is what we'll have for the hemline. So you can see the sewing is easy, very, very easy. So we are going to be fixing the pocket now. So we're going to sew the pocket from the front first. Okay, this fabric looks same inside and out, but your fabric, just place it together and sew from the front using half an inch from that area you notched. After doing that, this is what we'll have. So we are going to turn it over to the inside part. So if you used the right side at first, if you turn it over, the wrong side of the fabric will be showing at this part. Yes, so you're going to top stitch this round. Okay, so if you don't do it this way, it will be that the inside part, the outside part, the wrong side is what is showing after you're sewn. So we are going to separate this up. Okay, you can see this, separate it, and then place the pockets from the top, and then place it, align it till the end of it. So you're going to sew using half an inch and then flip it over and then align it with the other part of the trouser. Make sure not to stitch on any wrong part. Okay, that's why you're pinning this up. You're sewing them separately. Okay, so by the time you're done, you have a sewing there and here. So we'll do that for the upper pocket too. So this is what we'll have after sewing using half an inch. You can see how they look, and this is how the inside looks. You can see how neat that part is. That is because we didn't use exact 7.5 for the main pocket on the main dress. This is so that the pocket will be longer than where we have in the main fabric, and it will give it strength. So we are going to align these two lines together at the side. You know, the front part of the trouser is the smaller part. Okay, you are going to just not sew this using half an inch just to secure it, and we'll do that for the other part too. So you move the pocket to the part that is the front. Okay, do you understand? The smaller part of this trouser you are making, you take it to that part. You can see the smaller part is this part we are facing here. You face it towards the middle, towards the flap. Okay, I've just pinned it down, and we'll do that for the other part too. You can see what I used to know this one now is the front is smaller, and also the front is deeper than the back. So you take this towards the flap part of the front and pin this down. So this is so that when you put your hand in your pocket, it will move towards the right direction. Okay, so we are going to fold this in two and just measure what we have all through. This is what we'll use in cutting our elastic band. Okay, I have about 29 inches, so that will be multiplied by 2. Okay, so for the height of this band I have 4 inches, which means by the time I'm done I'm going to be having like 3.5. So folded in 2, this should be up to the 29 inches we measured from the main trouser. Okay, so we are going to open this up and then open the other end up and then join using half an inch. Okay, we want a neat sewing a stand-on. So after doing it using half an inch, this is what we'll have. You can see how wide it is. So it is the elastic that will give us the actual measurement we need for the waist. Okay, so I'll be using 2 of these elastics, and you can use one single wide one. There's this wide one that is black in color, so I've marked what I know will be enough for the band. So there's a trick here. Just put the waist elastic band on your waist till you are comfortable. So fold it in 2 and stitch using half an inch. So the 2 elastics are the same size. Okay, the same length. So after sewing using half an inch, I'm going to open this up and top stitch to make it get a balance. Okay, for the 2. So bring the band. We are going to be going to the sewing machine. I'm going to show you how to do this. Actually, we are going to start from where we have that joining. We are going to place it and sew. As you're sewing, we'll be adjusting and all that. So we're here, we are on the sewing machine. I'm just going to place it this way and then cover it up. As you're sewing, make sure to use your hand to feel the elastic. You don't want to sew on top of the elastic because you constantly stretch it out whenever you want to wear it. So you'd be using your hand to feel it, to get the guide and sew. So as you're sewing, you want to drag out the elastic once it has become too little, and then you sew. You know the elastic is smaller than the band now, so you want to drag it out whenever it's getting finished, and then you sew using 1 inch, sorry. So you're going to continue this process till the very end of this. So this is what we have. We are close to the end here, as you can see. So if it's just one single band that is wide enough, you just have to sew on top of it. That is after you have sewn at the tip, you start sewing at the middle. Okay, so this is what we have towards the end. You're going to be dragging the fabric out, dragging the elastic. Just drag whichever one you can drag, and make sure not to sew on top of the elastic now. Okay, so we are towards the end now, and then this is what we'll have. So you're going to drag this out to gain balance, for the elastic to go equal, for the equal materials to go round and so after doing that, we are going to be top stitching on that elastic. Now you see, you have to sew first before you top stitch. Okay, and mind you, while you're top stitching in the middle of the elastic, and you're dragging it out. If you don't drag it out, it will end up being stiff, and then you can pass it through the hip. So you can see what we'll have if we stretch it out. So this is what they use in achieving it. If it's just one wide elastic band, you just sew the end and then run the numbers of lines you want, but since we are using two quite small elastic, you have to do this one after the other. Okay, so we are almost done. This is what we'll have for the first part. You can see the look already, so you can decide how many you want to add. You can decide if you want this small one, you can just trim up the rest, but if you want the wider one, you're also going to place that in the middle there. Diligent about the joining part being in the same place. Okay, so you're going to place it this way, and also allow it to like get to the top where the other one stop, and you start sewing the same way you checked using your finger. This second process will be quite more difficult because you have already, this material has already wrinkled, so you have to be stretching it out to sew, especially the fact that you don't want to sew on top of the elastic. So this one will take a quite long time, but just take your time and keep adjusting, keep sewing, and you'll be able to achieve this. So let me know in the comment section what you think. If you are enjoying this video, drop a like, drop a comment, and hit the subscribe button so that we can grow as a community. Okay, so I just went ahead to fast forward this video because it took quite a number of time, so we have to do that. So this process is quite an easy one, as you can see, because the cutting is simple, the sewing is simple, and all that. So after sewing this, make sure to cut your thread. I love neat works. Okay, so this is what we'll have. You have to stretch it out whenever you want to top stitch again on the elastic. You have to stretch it out for the material to go evenly on each part. So you put it in the same way you started from the middle for the up part. You drag, you start from the middle, you sew. Make sure you drag while you are sewing. It is very important so that this can be able to maintain its elasticity. Okay, so you're going to adjust, sew, and you'll be loving the outcome once you are getting it right. Okay, so we are done with this band, and this is what we'll have. You can see how neat, how nice it looks. So what we want to do now is to attach it to our main trouser, but first of all, you can decide to like trim the excesses, because definitely there will be excesses. We just need half an inch, but then this will not be equal due to the drawing out and so on. So you're going to go ahead to trim this. Make sure to like open it up when you're trimming it. If you trim it with it being like joined together, you would see that zigzag effect, which you would not love. So after trimming it now, we are going to look for that part where we had the joining. Okay, that part would just be at a strategic location on the main trouser, like the middle of the flap or the side, any part that just have a joining. Okay, so I'm just showing you what the whole trouser looks like. So you are going to like turn it to the inside part. And then one interesting thing about the main band is that any part can be the front, any part can be the front, the back and the front. Okay, so you're just going to look for that part that has the joining. I'm contemplating here where should be the back and the front, because the both sides looks nice. So you're going to place this on top of it and sew using half an inch. So when you're sewing this band, you have to do stretching out always. Okay, so this band now has become smaller, but remember we use the exact measurements of this waist of the main trouser, so we have to like start stretching it out to sew. Remember, the elastic did not get up to half an inch of the end of the band, so that's why we'll be able to like stretch it out for it to meet the amount of inches that the waist is. Okay, so you are gradually going to be stretching this out. So in this process, definitely you can't escape it. The main trouser might be more than the band, just with like 2 or 3 inches. So if you notice that, just try to ruffle lead to of the trouser. Make sure the ruffle is even. Okay, so you can see this part now is quite more, so I'm just going to like gather it a little inside because it's quite little, and the whole trouser is going to come together all of a sudden. So you are just going to do that and sew it, and that's all for the trouser. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. We are also going to fold it down, and we are going to put a rope in the middle of the front. Okay, but this rope, we are not going to make it to be tieable. See how elastic it looks, like it stretches. You can see this is so nice. See the inside neat, the outside neat. So this is the rope we have. I'll just fold it in two to get the middle part, and then put it in the middle or line of the front flap. Okay, this is the front flap. I'm going to put it in the middle of the band in the front, and then just top stitch it. Okay, this is like a false rope. The rope cannot like make the trouser tighter, but it's just there as something that will beautify the trouser. Okay, so there's no point you inserting the rope, because this elastic band can already reduce or increase. So you just put the rope there just for fashion sake, and you can see the pocket. If one doesn't tell you there's a pocket, you won't know. You can see how neat it is. So this is the essence of neat work. If you don't understand this, don't hesitate to rewind and take your time to watch this video right. Okay, you can see the other part of the pocket too. This is so beautiful. If you've watched up to this time, thank you so much for watching. So we are going to fold it down. So measure what you have first before you fold. Okay, from the top. So you can see the essence of starting from the middle before, so you see the extra that came out from the down. It's a nice thing if the extra comes out from the down. So I've measured what I have at the top there, so it's safe for me to sew using less than an inch, but not up to an inch. Okay, just fold it all through. You can decide to weave it anyhow you want to do it. It's nice. So we're done splashes, and this is what we'll have. So you can decide to wear the pants and pair it with something else. You can decide to wear just the top, pair it with something else, or you decide to pair the two together, both the kimono top and the pants. So do well to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, keep splashing.